Okay, let me close all this stuff. Okay, I'll say here Azure Databricks. Okay, page number 153. Yeah, this one. So implementation steps for Azure Databricks. So see guys, I'll tell you one thing here. Azure Databricks will not work in Azure free trial account. I'm telling it very clearly. Guys, I hope my screen is visible to everyone, right? My screen is visible to everyone, right? Can I get the responses, please, for it? So, okay, fine. So now see here, Azure, okay, Azure Databricks will not work for Azure free trial account. Will not work in Azure free trial account. Azure Databricks will not work in Azure free trial account. Okay, fine. This you have to keep in mind. This you have to keep in mind. Okay, so what I will do, okay, see, Azure Data Factory, okay, Azure Data Factory will work in Azure free trial account. Okay, but Azure Databricks will not work in free trial account. So for that, what I will do, okay, now the students are not having paid subscription. Okay, every student is having free trial account only. Okay, mostly the students are not having. Mostly the students, okay, will not have Azure paid account. Azure paid account, right now, correct now. And Azure Databricks will perfectly work in Azure paid account, but in free trial account, it will not work. So for that, what I'll do, okay, I will show you Databricks in community edition. Okay, I'll show you Databricks in community edition. Okay, so for the students, okay, for the students who wants to practice Azure Databricks, okay, they can use a community edition. Okay, they can use community edition. Community edition, here you can create Databricks free of cost. It will and then you can write all the Python scripts, all the Python commands, everything in the Databricks in community edition. Okay, provisioning of Databricks I'll show in Azure paid subscription. Okay, of a provisioning of Azure Databricks. Okay, I will show in Azure. Okay, paid subscription, that is mine. I'm going to show in my paid subscription. My paid subscription. Okay. After that, again I'll show in community edition also. First I'll show in my paid subscription. After that, I'll show in community edition also. In community edition also. If you see here, note. If you see this note, what I have written, always implement Azure Databricks and cluster in Azure paid subscription, because in free trial, the Databricks clusters are not supported. What I'm saying here, the Databricks clusters are not supported. What we are doing, first we are creating a Databricks workspace. First we'll create a Databricks, okay, Databricks workspace, and then we'll create a Databricks cluster. Okay, first we'll create a Databricks workspace, then we'll create a Databricks cluster. Okay, fine. So that is what I am saying here. It works only in Azure paid subscription, because free trials, the Databricks clusters are not supported. Okay, so yesterday we have discussed some theoretical part about Azure Databricks, nothing much, all theoretical part only. You can see the previous recording, just last class recording, and I hope Saturday recording is uploaded already. Let me check, because there should not be any noise now. Okay, So I hope Saturday recording is been uploaded. Saturday, what was the date on Saturday? It is 10th, right? So 10th of August. Yeah, 10th of August recording is up to date. Perfect. All right. So now what I'm saying here, search for Azure Databricks. Okay, in Azure portal, fill the details accordingly as explained in the class. Pricing tier, take it as trial. Okay, premium 14 days free DBUs, networking, encryption, tags, review plus create and click or create. So what I'll do, I'll go here and I will create. I'll log into my Azure paid subscription. I'm logging to my Azure paid subscription. This is my Azure paid subscription login. This is my Azure paid subscription login. Click on it. Click on it. Okay, fine. Now I'll go here for my default directory where I'm having access. Fine. I will go here and I will search for Databricks. I'll search for Data Bricks. Yeah, see Azure Databricks. Click on this Azure Databricks. Click on Create as usual. Okay, fill the details accordingly as explained in the class. All right, I'll say a resource group. Let us take the resource group Naresh RG. This resource group is already existing in my Azure paid subscription. That is what I have taken. Okay, I'll give the Databricks name. Let us give it as Naresh Azure Databricks Workspace. Okay, Naresh Azure Databricks Workspace 1171. Some name I am giving to my Databricks. You can give any name, it's your choice. No one is stopping you. Okay, where you want to create, I'll create it somewhere in East US region. I'm creating it in East US region. Any name you can give here, resource group, any region you can choose accordingly. And here pricing tier, I'll go with the trial premium 14 days free DBUs. Okay, you can take standard premium, and this one I am taking the trial premium 14 days free DBUs. So it is going to give me okay database units for up to 14 days. Okay, with premium features, and it will be a trial version. If when you are working in your real-time projects, then you will choose either standard or premium, your choice. I'm just going with this one. Manage resource group name. What is this, guys? See, along with our Databricks workspace, okay, along with our Databricks workspace, some other resources also will get created. Some other resources will also get created. Along with our Databricks workspace, some other resources also will get created. That resources, that resources, we will okay, we will put here in this managed resource group. That resources will put here in this managed resource group. I'll say here Naresh, okay, Azure Databricks Workspace Managed Resource Group. I'll say here Azure Databricks Workspace Managed Resource Group. I'm saying what Azure Databricks Workspace. Okay, fine. Azure Databricks Workspace Manage Resource Group. Fine. Some name I'm giving. You can give any name, guys. Okay. What are the other resources will get created along with the Databricks Workspace? I'll show you. Let the Databricks Workspace gets created first. Next is what networking. Deploy your Databricks Workspace with secure cluster connectivity or with your own virtual network. No public IP will be here. Okay. I'll if you want it, public IP will not be assigned to your cluster IPs. Okay, cluster IPs will not be assigned to your cluster here. That is what it is saying. No public IP, and deploy Azure Databricks Workspace in your own virtual network. No, I don't want it. I just want to be in the given Azure network only. Next, encryption. Okay, see here, encryption is what, guys? We have seen that encryption is basically a process in which we are okay strengthening our security for the resources what we are provisioning in cloud computing. So the package what we have taken here trial, okay, premium 14 days now. So for this package, okay, encryption will be disabled here. See, all this is disabled. If you take a higher package, if you take for an example premium, then this will be enabled. This is enabled for you. User own key, use your own key, okay, to manage the disks, manage the services which is getting created along with your workspace and all. You can encrypt it if you want, but here you have to choose the higher package. I'm just choosing this one. So for this package what I'm choosing, the encryption features are disabled here. If you want you can go for it. Okay, basically these things will be taken care by your Azure security engineer, not you guys. You guys are data engineers. Security engineers will take care of this thing. Next is what, security and complaints. Okay, this is again related to security only. Enable compliant security profile, enhance security monitoring, automatic cluster update. Okay, if any cluster which needs more compute power, more processing power to process the Python queries to get the data from the source systems and all, then it has to, boost, it has to provision the new, okay, nodes inside the cluster. In that case, it will go for the automatic cluster updates. If you want, you can check these options. Okay, fine. I'll say a next tax. Tax is what? Tax is the parameter that we'll see for every service we are creating in cloud computing. Okay, this will give for our future references. Fine. If you give it, fine. If you don't give also, it's not a problem. It will not throw any error. I'll say a next review plus create. Okay, let us see whether the validation will get completed. Succeeded. Yes, validation got succeeded. Okay, validation got succeeded. I'll click on create. What I'll do, I'll click on create. The moment I click on create, okay, what it is doing, it is going to create a workspace. It is going to create a Databricks workspace for us. Okay, so I'll say here create. The Databricks workspace will get created in our Azure portal, and this is my Azure paid subscription. I'm doing this where in my Azure paid subscription. Okay, fine. So let the workspace gets deployed. So the workspace is getting deployed here. Hope it will get deployed successfully. After this workspace gets deployed, we'll go for the cluster implementation. Okay, so let us just wait. Okay, ideally it will take some 7 to 8 minutes. 7 to 8 minutes is expected. Okay, Super. The deployment is completed. Fine. So workspace got provision for us. So what I'll do now, I'll go to the resource here. Okay, Naresh, Azure Databricks workspace. This is what the workspace. I'll click on launch the workspace. Same like how we were creating or how we are clicking launch studios. We'll say na launch ADF studios. Same I'll say here launch the workspace. Okay, wait for some time till the Databricks workspace got deployed. Click on launch the workspace. So we have waited for some 7 to 8 minutes. It got provision. Now click on launch the workspace. So I'll say here, okay, in this subscription I have created my Databricks workspace. Okay, now it is just okay, launching Databricks for me in the cloud platform. This is what the interface. This is the interface of my Databricks workspace. This is the interface for my Databricks workspace. Mouse over on the left, a window will get open, and in that click on compute, create a cluster. So what we have done, we have created the workspace. Now we are creating a cluster, Databricks cluster. Okay, so I'll say here compute, click on the compute. Okay, say here create compute, say here create compute, and then what it is now, it is taken you, it is navigated you to create a cluster, Databricks cluster. So what name you want to give to your cluster, you can give here. I'll say here my cluster one, my cluster one. I'm giving it as name my cluster one. Okay, fine. See, same it is showing. This is what the diagram it is showing in the material. So policy, I'm just going with unrestricted. Okay, unrestricted means different people can access this cluster if they have logged in to my Azure subscription after the access has been granted to them accordingly as per the RBAC. Okay, now the different level of accesses and everything will be handled by your Azure security engineers. Okay, then next we are having is what access mode. So single user, shade or isolation shade, no isolation shade. I'll say here as of now single user who can use all languages. Like all languages means this cluster can understand Python, this cluster can understand Scala, this cluster can understand SQL and R programming. Okay, single user access. As of now I am setting up this global administrator. This is my global administrator. If you see here, what is the name? The name is this one. Okay, kiddu.m@gmail.com. This is the name of my subscription. Okay, Master Kidash. So that is what the name it is showing here. Okay, Master Kiddu Baby. This is what I am given the name, Kiddu. Okay, surname and all that stuff I have given. That is what it is showing here. This single user is going to use this cluster as of now. Now, what is the other thing here, guys? If you come down, Databricks, Azure Databricks cluster consists of Scala and Spark together. Scala and Spark technology is inbuilt in this Databricks cluster, and on top of this, okay, Spark and Scala, this cluster is standing. This cluster is standing on top of this Scala and Spark. So if you see here, we are having lot of different versions. See, 15.4, 15.3. See, Scala is 2.12, Spark is 3.50, 3.5.0. For 15.3, if you take together, then Scala is 2.12 and Spark is 3.5.0. If you take 15.2, then Scala is 2.12, Spark is 3.5.0. Like this, you are having lot of okay, Scala and Spark, okay, versions here, and together combination it has given one version number as 14.2, 14.1, etc. So you can take the version here. Okay, it is 12.2 LTS. LTS stands for long term support. LTS stands for long term support. So 12.2 is there. Okay, I'll take this version. Okay, 12.2 long term support. Okay, LTS I'm taking here, and this photon acceleration. Okay, don't know what is going there. Fine, use photon acceleration. So here down somewhere I have given all the details. See, multi node, single node, All these things I have given here. Photon acceleration. Okay, this I'll put it on the top. Okay, fine. I'll put it here. These features. Okay, on the top. Okay, here I'll put it. Fine. So photon acceleration is what? This accelerates modern Apache Spark workloads. Okay, which reduces the total cost per workload. What it will do? It will reduces the total cost per workload. If you want, you can consider. If you want, you can uncheck also. See what it is saying. If you uncheck this one, okay, it is taking the worker nodes as 32 GB to 128 GB memory, which is very high. It is giving you a range. Basically, it is giving you a range here. Which one you want, accordingly, you can choose. Okay, I'll keep it. I'll keep it. And what it is saying, how you want this cluster to be implemented. Okay, this cluster is also having the underlying infrastructure, that is your nodes, that is your servers. Correct, your servers are there. Servers or nodes, one of the same thing. Okay, in Databricks cluster, servers are nothing but nodes only. Okay, in Databricks cluster, servers are nothing but nodes only. Servers are nothing but nodes only. So it is saying you that when you are implementing, so which node you want to consider. Okay, and this nodes is what the underlying power for the, okay, queries to execute in your Databricks cluster. So you are having 16 GB memory, 4 core. This server you can take 32 GB memory, 8 core. You can take 64 GB, 64 GB memory, 16 cores. You can take lot of multiple options you are having here. Remember, the higher the configuration you take, the charges will be very high, and your cluster will be that much powerful. If you run big queries, big Python queries also, if you run, it can easily handle. It can get the data for you from source system, and it will populate the data for you accordingly as per your business requirement. So the higher configuration you are taking here for your server, that much will be the power, processing power for your Databricks cluster. So I'll say here some small only I'll take this one. 14 GB memory, 4 cores. Why I'm taking this much? Because it is sufficient for me as of now. Okay, it is sufficient for me as of now, because if I'm taking more than this, okay, I can take it, but that will also increase my cost. That will also increase my cost here. And what it is doing, it is saying that for this cluster, it is giving me minimum 2 nodes, maximum 8 nodes. So it's your choice now. You can decide how many nodes, how many servers, VMs you want for this cluster to run. So I'll say here minimum one node and maximum 2 nodes. Okay, if you are saying here enable auto scaling, then these two options will get you, will populate for you. If you uncheck this one, then it will create your cluster only with one server only. See here now, gone. I am saying here just one. So what do we do now? It will create a node for me for my cluster just with one worker node only. Just with one worker node only. If I say here enable auto scaling, then here I am having an option minimum two, okay, and maximum 5 or 4. Depends upon the project criticality, how much the data is there, what is the volume of the data on daily hourly basis, how much okay queries it has to execute, it has to load the data into the destination, etc. Then you will decide this with your team, guys. Okay, you will decide this with your architect and all. So right now I am creating it, this one, for my, okay, learning and trial purpose. So I'll say here I don't want auto scaling. Okay, automatically it will launch the new nodes to my cluster to give the best performance to my end users, also to fetch, execute, load the data, okay, into it. Fine. So what I'll say here, I'll say here 2, and then I'll say here terminate this cluster. Okay, after 20 minutes of time. Means what? I'm saying that if if I am not using the cluster continuously for 20 minutes, if I'm not using this cluster continuously for 20 minutes, stop this cluster. Why? Because once you provision a cluster for your data bricks, once you provision a cluster for your data bricks, okay, then whether you use it or not, Azure will keep charging you, because the underlying infrastructure has been provisioned. The underlying infrastructure has been provisioned, okay, to deploy your Databricks cluster. Okay, so that's why it will keep charging you. So this is one of the nice option we are having, that if no one is using, or I am also not using this cluster continuously for 20 minutes, then immediately stop this cluster. Immediately stop this cluster. Okay, fine. This is what I am saying. You can say here 30 minutes if you want. Okay, you can say here 10 minutes if you want. Anything. Terminate means stop the cluster if it is of inactivity. If it is not, any query is not been triggered, any query is not been used, then immediately stop this cluster, so that my charges will get safe. In the interviews they might ask you, okay, what are the techniques that you know to do the cost optimization for Azure Databricks. So you can say here, if required, we can deploy the Databricks with the disable auto scaling option, so that whatever the number of nodes will fix to the cluster, with that many nodes only the cluster will run. The second technique to do the cost optimization is terminating the cluster after a defined time, after a defined timeline, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depends upon. I'll say here 15 minutes also. It will take any time. See, it is not throwing any error to me. Fine, there are two techniques. Multiple, okay, versions we are having here. You can tell any version here, not a problem. Single user cluster we have used. This is the name we are giving. All this is done. I'll say here create compute. I'll say here create compute. Now what it has done, it has started creating a cluster for me. See, now the cluster is getting provision. See, finding instances for new nodes. So I've taken two. I have taken two worker nodes I have taken. You can take minimum 2, maximum 8, 5, 10, depends upon your project requirement. Now I'm creating one cluster. I'm provisioning one cluster. Okay, so it will take some 8 to 10 minutes of time, guys, and this will get provision after some time. Okay, fine. We'll wait for some time, guys. It will take 8 to 10 minutes of time. I hope it will get provision without any error. Okay. We are deploying a Databricks cluster. Okay. Super. See now, the cluster got provisioned. Right? The cluster got provision. Okay. You will get this green check mark. You will get this green check mark. If you're getting this green check mark, something like this, it means your cluster is provisioned successfully. If you're getting some red color round symbol as cross check mark, red color, it means that your cluster is not provisioned and it got failed. Your cluster is not provisioned, okay, and it is not failed. This is what the indication that we'll get. Fine. So after the cluster gets provisioned, okay, this is some about the features of the cluster. Multi-node, single node. We have created single node cluster only. What is single node here? Here, single user or node can connect to the cluster and cluster notebooks that has been created. Notebooks we have not created yet. I'll show you. What is multi-node? Multiple users can connect it. Okay, after the access has been granted. We are having multiple long-term support. Okay, LTS stands for long-term support. Okay, multiple versions for Azure Databricks Workspace provisioning as shown below. Photon acceleration, what is this one? This accelerates modern Apache Spark workloads, which reduces total cost per workload. It is just giving all these details, guys. Okay. So I think I can give these theoretical points here instead of here the steps are there. So I don't want to put in the middle of the steps. I'll just put it here rather. Okay, fine. What it is saying now? Step 4, click on workspace on left side. Workspace, add notebook. A new notebook will get created. Change the title as Python notebook 1 of the notebook by clicking on the top. Okay. So what I'll do, click on this plus new and say here notebook. Say here notebook. So this notebook you are creating on top of the cluster. On top of the cluster. See, this is your notebook title. Okay, I'll say here notebook 1 or say here my Python notebook 1. My Python notebook 1. Okay, I'm giving some title like this. This is my notebook. Okay, this is my notebook I'm having. and this complete area is called my Python notebook. Okay, and what I'll do here, I will write the Python script here, and I will execute the script by running this button, this run cell button. I'll click here to run my Python script. This is what, see, my cluster one. This is what the cluster we have created. What name we have given to our cluster? If you come here, you come to home, go to Azure Databricks. This is the workspace name. Inside the workspace, we have given the cluster name, my cluster one. Okay, correct. This, please remember, I am showing this all things in my paid subscription. See, this is my paid subscription. This is my paid Azure account I am showing. Okay, fine. So here, if you see, I have created a cluster, right? If I click on compute, see, this is my cluster we have created just now. Okay, my cluster 1, runtime 12.2, 12 cores, 42 GB of space. Okay, with this mail ID, all that stuff. If you want, you can restart your cluster. You can create a new cluster as it is with same configuration. You can delete, you can edit the permission. Okay, the cluster is running. If you want, you can stop the cluster. If you click on this button, what will happen? It will stop your cluster. It will terminate. It will stop your cluster. And this is what my notebook I have created inside the cluster. Okay, fine. Hence, we have created a Databricks workspace, a cluster, and a Python notebook in it. So we have not written any Python comments. Just we have created a workspace, cluster, and a notebook. Whatever the transformations, okay, we have done till now, like moving the data from source to target and even with data flows, then we can use, okay, ADF. And if we want to do the complex transformations, and if you want to do any user defined functions, then we can use Azure Databricks. We can use Azure Databricks. Okay, where we can process huge volume of data. And if you are having petabytes or of data, if you are having petabytes of data, gigabytes of data, okay, that we are receiving from source, where we need to do complex kind of transformations, then we can use the Azure Databricks services. Okay, we are having petabytes, zotabytes, yottabytes of data, huge volume of data. In that cases, you can use the Azure Databricks. So basically, big data, okay, is suitable to process with Azure Databricks. In Azure Databricks, we can do the transformation sufficiently using Spark based APIs. Most Spark based APIs is what? This is what the APIs, guys. This is what the APIs: Python, SQL, okay, fine, and then Scala, and then R programming. So our Databricks can, okay, our Databricks cluster can understand our Databricks, okay, cluster can understand 4 different languages. Can understand 4 different languages. Okay, Python, you can write Python script. Okay, you can write Scala, you can write SQL, you can write R programming. Fine, multiple scripts that you can, multiple programming languages you can write it. Okay, most of the people are familiar with SQL. That's true. Most of the people are familiar, comfortable with SQL. You don't know Python, you don't know Scala, you don't know R programming language, no need to worry. No need to worry. You can easily, comfortably work with your Databricks, okay, cluster with your SQL skills only. With your SQL skills only. Since Spark supports all the 4 APIs, we can choose any of these languages and we can write the code in Azure Databricks. Okay, service. We can write any complex code, user-defined functions. Okay, still do that in Azure Databricks services very easily. Azure Databricks is a fully managed by Microsoft. We can use any language here as per the familiarity or requirement. We have to create the Azure Databricks service before we start writing the code as shown above. Okay, so we have not started writing the code still. Okay, today we have seen how we can deploy the Databricks workspace, Databricks cluster, and how we can launch the notebooks. In Databricks, we can connect to any kind of data source. We can connect to on-premises also. We can connect to Azure Blob Storage, Data Lake Gen 2 storage. We can move the data from any source to any destination using Azure Databricks. That is also very much possible. Implementation steps for Azure Databricks and Databricks cluster. What we have deployed just now, same thing is getting repeated here. Always implement Azure Databricks and cluster in Azure paid subscription, because in free trial, the Databricks clusters are not supported. Clearly, I have mentioned here, in free trial, the Databricks clusters are not supported. Okay. So search for Databricks, fill the details accordingly, pricing tier, all these things we have done. We have created a cluster. Okay, we have waited for some time till the cluster gets launched and launch the workspace. All these things, guys. Okay, refer the below documentation for cluster implementation in Azure Databricks. So this is what the documentation we are having. Okay, Azure Databricks hands-on. This is what we are having. Azure Databricks hands-on. Okay, Christopher Bay. This is one of the authors from US, Christopher Bay. Okay, from this author, we are just following the Azure Databricks hands-on. We are doing this is all theoretical part. What I am explaining, the same here. Theoretical parts are available. Databricks cluster provisioning. Okay, all this it is showing here, and here we are going to start writing the script, Python scripts. Okay, mostly we are writing Python and SQL scripts here in our Azure Databricks. So this article, this article link, I have already given in the material, guys. You can also find it at page number 156. Okay, fine. So mouse over to the cluster, provision the mouse over, and then click on the compute. That's what I'm saying here. Mouse over on left, click on compute, create a cluster, fill the details accordingly as shown in image, and then make the cluster ready. Once the cluster is ready, then you can see here, okay, fill the details, wait for the clusters to get deployed, launch the workspace, compute, then on top we'll see as shown options. Okay, we are having all purpose compute cluster, job compute cluster, SQL warehouse and pools. Okay, so all purpose cluster is what we have created now. If you see here, okay, if you see here, we have created what? This cluster, right? My cluster one. This is what all purpose cluster. All purpose cluster means this cluster can understand multiple languages what you are writing. This cluster can fetch the information. Okay, this cluster can fetch the information. Okay, guys, just hold on. Fine. This cluster can fetch the information. Okay, from your source accordingly as per the language what you are writing. If you are writing Python language, it will understand Python and it will do the needful whatever you are doing in your project as per your project requirement. Okay, that is what all purpose cluster is used for. Okay, when we are working interactively with notebooks or number of notebooks, then we use this interactive based cluster, that is all purpose cluster. Job cluster, we use job clusters to run fast and robust automated jobs using UI and APIs. Okay, pools, one of the features we are having in our clusters, what we have provision. Azure Databricks makes a distinction between all-purpose cluster and job cluster. We use all-purpose clusters to analyze the data collaboratively using interactive notebooks, and we use job clusters to run fast and robust automated jobs. We create all-purpose cluster using CLI and REST API. So mostly the people who are working on data side, database backups, storage backups, etc., that people will work on the jobs cluster. Okay, and data engineers, when they are extracting the data from the source system and all, then we'll go for the all purpose clusters. Okay, click on create compute to create a cluster, and while creating cluster in Azure Databricks, we can set the worker type as drive type, configurations, all these things I'm explaining here. What we have provision based upon the volume of the data that we are processing with Azure Databricks cluster, and while creating the cluster we can follow the below steps. All these things, it is just I'm explaining here in the steps. Okay, what we have done practically, all these things I'm explaining here in the steps. Okay, Once we have set up the above details, then click on create, compute. Okay, create cluster and wait for some 15 to 20 minutes till the cluster gets ready. After the cluster gets deployed, click on more permissions here. If you want to give access to someone else, okay, if you want to give access to other users to use your cluster, then this is a configuration that you have to do. Okay, click on more permissions. Okay, say here something like this. Click on this more here. Somewhere you will get an option. Go inside the cluster. Okay, and click on more here. Okay, I think it got changed or what. Yeah, more. The interface is getting changed, guys. Okay, click on more here. This is my cluster. Okay, if you want, you can create a new resource here. Okay, the interface got changed. Okay, permissions, click on the knob. My cluster runtime. This is what the details we have taken. Right, two nodes now. One is driver node and one is worker node. It's same configuration it is showing here. Okay, fine. Tools can manage, save, close. To create a notebook in the Databricks cluster, click on the plus new notebook we have created. Change the title of the notebook and select the language API. This is the notebook only what we have selected. Whatever language you want. Python you want, click on Python. SQL you want, click on SQL. Just say confirm here. SQL. Now you have to write the SQL script here. Scala, if you want, you can write the Scala script. You can write the R programming in this cell. This is called the notebook body. This is called the cell. Guys, just hold on. I'll answer your questions. Okay, fine. So let me come here. So this is called cell. This is called cell. This is called cell. This is called notebook. This complete thing is called notebook. So what we are doing, we can the beauty of the beauty of Databricks cluster is what you know. Okay, the beauty of Azure Databricks cluster is in one notebook only you can write. Okay, you can write the scripts and code of different languages. You can write the code or script of different languages. Okay, getting, guys, is that clear or not? See here what will happen when you are choosing here Python, then this is called as what magical command. It's called as what magical command. Now here you have to write Python script only. If you are seeing here SQL, then here you will see SQL magical command, and here you have to write the SQL script. I'll show practically also. Scala, see, this is called Scala magical command. This is called R. Okay, this is R programming. Okay, so mostly people are comfortable, convenient with SQL. If you don't know any other programming like Python, Scala, R, Markdown, etc., then you can simply work easily with SQL programming only. Okay, the default script will get is what Python. The default script will get it as what Python. Okay, so the next thing is we are having the other way around to create Azure Databricks workspace and Databricks cluster is using community edition. Okay, so how we have created a cluster, I have shown this one where in my paid subscription. In my paid subscription, how we can create a cluster, how we can provision, how we can create the Databricks workspace, how we launch the notebook, I have shown. In real-time projects, guys, please clear this point in your head. Okay, in real-time projects, in your companies, in your company, okay, you will work on you will work on paid subscriptions only. Okay, there is no free trial subscription. There is no free trial subscription. Okay. Okay. But now for your practice, you are not having a paid subscription. Na? For that reason, we are having one option called Community Edition. The other way around to create Azure Databricks Workspace and Databricks Cluster is using Community Edition. Is using Community Edition. So here, what we'll do, we'll go to this link. We fill the details. Okay, and then here, when you are creating the cluster with Community Edition, here you will not see these all many options. You will not see these all many options. All these options you will not see when you are creating a cluster with the Community Edition. It will just ask you to fill the basic details: first name, last name, mail ID, company. Then automatically it will launch the workbook like this. It will launch the notebook for you like this. And then you have to write the Python, Scala, SQL commands, whatever you want accordingly. That's why, in order to make you understand you all these options, I have created my first cluster in my paid subscription. In Community Edition, you will not get an opportunity to explore these many options. What are those options? How we can set up, how we can configure, what is this all this used for and all. Okay, this is what about, okay, Community Edition. Free of cost, you can use it. Okay, you can use it for free of cost. No one is going to charge you for it, but directly it will launch you the workbook notebook like this. It will directly launch the notebook for you, something like this. Getting, guys, is that clear? This is what about, so this is the almost other way of implementing the Databricks cluster. Okay, using Community Edition. All right, fine. Shilpa, yesterday I have told in detail about Databricks, why we are using Databricks, what is the purpose with Databricks, how it is different from ADF. Okay, both are ETL tools only. Okay, ADF and ADB, both are ETL tools only. So I have told yesterday in the sense Saturday's class. Okay, so when we are dealing with big data, Hadoop analytics, when we are having data in yottabytes, zottabytes, and all, then we'll go for Azure Databricks. Okay, fine. Jitendra, what is the difference between cluster and nodes? See, node is nothing but a server, virtual machine. Cluster is combination of multiple nodes. Cluster forms with a combination of multiple nodes. Yeah, in simple words, you are correct, Shilpa. In simple words, if you say, yes, that is correct. Is that clear, Jitendra? Yeah, definitely, Mrityunjay. Not to you. I will show to everyone how to use the Community Edition and how we can launch the cluster, Databricks cluster using Community Edition. Officially, I'm having all the steps for it. I'll show it to you, everyone. Okay. Yes, Mrityunjay, you are right. All the time, mostly we'll work on notebooks only. Databricks cluster notebooks will work on notebooks only. Databricks cluster will not deploy on daily basis in our projects, in our real-time projects. Mostly we'll work on notebooks, new notebooks will create, and then we'll write the script accordingly as per the project requirement. Okay. All right, guys. Spot instance, okay, will help you to reduce some of your billing. Okay, if you choose spot instance, then it will help you to reduce some of your billing for your Azure Data Factory. Okay, configuration. Manju, it depends upon project to project. Okay, I cannot say. In some projects, okay, they will use ADF. In some projects, they will use Databricks, it depends upon. Okay, so if you say that you are having more hands-on in ADF as compared to Databricks, then they will give you the training. The projector will give you the training. Okay, definitely, and after that they will start, you know, giving you the work. You are going to work along with your seniors, colleagues, and all. In this way, the flow will go. The flow will starts. Okay. Okay, so see here, guys. Shilpa is asking a question: how I can go for paid subscription? See, once your free trial subscription is ended, expired. So what you do after your free trial subscription gets expired? Example: this is my free trial subscription. Okay, see, example: this is my free trial subscription. I'll go here. Okay, this is my free trial subscription. Okay, see, this is my free trial subscription, right? This is my free trial subscription. Okay, fine. So what happens here? Once your subscription gets expired, okay, here you will get one option. Here you will get one option. Okay, saying that your free trial expiration got expired. If you want, you can upgrade, or else you can go here. You can upgrade here also. Click on upgrade. It is going to expire today only. Today this one is going to expire, 12th of August. This is free trial subscription. Okay, if you want to upgrade to paid subscription, then click on upgrade here. Okay, click on upgrade here. Here you will get that upgrade option. See, for paid subscription, this is my paid subscription. See, for paid subscription, I am not having any option as upgrade, but whereas for free trial subscription, you will get this upgrade option. Okay, so Azure subscription one. Okay, move to pay as you go pricing for free services and interrupted access to Azure. Please let us know where you will use your services. Then enter a friendly subscription name and tax ID. Finally, select a support plan and click the upgrade button. Okay, so I think this is not expired. This subscription is not expired. Still, this subscription will expire in some time. Maybe midnight, 12 o'clock. It will get expired. Okay, after it gets expired, you click on upgrade here, and then you give some subscription name. You give something like Shilpa paid subscription, or you can give some. This will be enabled to you after this gets expired. Give some Shilpa Sahu paid subscription or my paid subscription, some name. GST number it is asking. It is not mandatory, so leave this one. Leave this one. GST number is not mandatory. It is not giving asterisk. If it gives asterisk, then it is mandatory. Like this is, it is giving asterisk, means it is mandatory. You can give any friendly name. Then say here upgrade to pay as you go. Once you click on upgrade to pay as you go, then it will open one page. There it will ask you to pass your PAN card number. It will ask you to confirm your credit card number, your credit card details, everything. Then say next and submit. That's it, finished. What happens here? Your free trial subscription will get upgraded to your pay as you go subscription. It will upgrade it to pay as you go subscription. Okay, just simply click on upgrade, guys. Automatically you read, you can understand by yourself. It's simple English only, not that much big deal. Okay, simple English only. You just read it. You will do the things here accordingly, and then it will upgrade your subscription from free trial to paid subscription. Is that clear? All right, guys, that's it. I'll stop the class today. Tomorrow we'll start it from here. In community edition, this is absolutely free of cost. You all can practice this. I'll show you tomorrow's class. All right, and this is the document or article. This article we are following to do all the labs. To do all the labs, we are following this article. Where is the article? This article. Databricks hands-on. We are going to follow this article. Okay. Christopher Bay is an author we are having from US. He has done a lot of research work in Azure data engineering kind of stuff. So this is what all the labs